I am. Okay, welcome to Art 116. It's the afternoon class, and we're going to go right into it. We're going to do the screen share thing. So let's start off with a discussion of the chapter, color theory. And so here we go. Okay. Whoops. All right. So we start off with just talking about light. You know, light is how we see. Our eyes, our whole optical perception sense is kind of based on light and reflected light. And so, you know, we live in a world pretty much that has whitish light in it. So we've got sunlight outside, and we have got artificial light indoors that tries to mimic sunlight. So for the most part, we've got sort of a white, full spectrum light source that we live in on a daily basis. And that gives us some kind of a sense of naturalistic colors, either indoors or outdoors, that we are perceiving with our eyes. And hopefully we're perceiving the colors similarly. We never know, but that's a whole other philosophical debate. So, you know, when you've got white light that comes into something that will refract the light, either raindrops in the atmosphere or a prism made out of glass, the light is refracted or bent as it goes through that medium. And as the light is refracted, it bends, and each wavelength of light bends a different amount as it goes through the object. And so that separates out all the different colors of light in the spectrum or in the rainbow. And so we'll look at them over here. We've got violet, and let's stop for a minute because violet is really important. In design, in painting and art, the name of the color, the name of the hue is another word for color. The name of the color is violet. You guys might call it purple, but you know, we should have a swear jar in here, and every time somebody says purple, you have to put 25 cents in the swear jar, because it's not purple, it's violet. Purple is the color of a crayon from you know, your coloring stuff. And I don't want to be like mean or racist or you know, anti LGBTQ or anything like that. It's just that the name of the color is violet. So as designers, we want to be kind of sensitive to that. Then we've got blue, violet, and blue, and green, yellow, orange, and red would be the colors of the spectrum, the visual spectrum that we see mostly when we're looking at the spectrum through a prism. Okay, so what does that got to do? Well, that's a basis of color. Many artists over the centuries, and then physicists, when physics became its own science, have played with the idea of colors. And so we've refined the idea of color a bit more than just the ones that are visible in the spectrum that we see in the rainbow. Here's a photograph of it from your text that kind of shows the idea of white light entering from the back and being refracted or bent through the prism, so that we get the bending of light, giving us the spectrum of colors to look at. And I don't get there yet because I've got one more slide to do. Okay, so we're going to start off with your authors have started off talking about different color systems. And so there's the additive color system that I'm not going to deal with very much this quarter, but we need to be aware of its presence, especially for those of you who deal with computer design of the kinds of colors that are available on a computer screen, because it's a different color system based on 3 different kinds of primary colors. So this ancient photograph showing 3 different carousel slide projectors from the 1970s, oh my God, has a red light coming off of one, a green light coming off of the center one, and a blue light coming off of the third one. Red, green, and blue are the primary colors of the additive process. Those of you who have worked with theater and theater gels for lighting a stage performance of some kind may be familiar with these as the different colors of the gels that you can use, and then combine the lights that shine down on the people on the stage to give you a variety of colors. The primary colors, red, green, and blue. and we can see them up here in the circles. Then where the circles overlap, we get the secondary colors of the additive system, which are yellow. When you combine green and red light, you get yellow light. Oh my God. When you combine blue and red light, you get magenta light. That's a color. That's our secondary color of this system. And when you combine green and blue light, you get this cyan, or kind of a light blue color. And those are the secondary colors of the additive system. And when all of those systems, let's see, yeah, when all of those colors are all combined together, those different colors of light combined together, we get white light. Oh my God. It's so cool to do this and play with this stuff. But that's what happens when you combine all of the different colors of light together in equal amounts. You get white light. So that's kind of a cool illustration of that. For our purposes in this class, the easiest way for us to work without computers and whatnot is with pigments, with paint, with artists' pigments. And so we're going to use primarily the subtractive color process in this class. So subtractive color, what is that? Well, we have to ask ourselves, how do we see color that is reflected back to our eyes from an object that we see in reality? So you look at a green leaf on a tree. A green leaf appears green because the leaf reflects only the green light back to our eye, absorbing or subtracting all the other colors of the spectrum out of the light, leaving only the green light that we perceive that's reflected back to our eye. When we see color reflected from an object, we're experiencing subtractive color. And that's the colors that we see in reality that are the actual objects reflecting their native colors back to our eyeballs. And that's kind of what the color pigments are based on in paint that we use in the painting process. So we're going to be dealing with the subtractive color system for the most part. Now, for our quiz, that might be 2 weeks from now, I'd really like you guys to be aware of the additive color system and the subtractive color system, at least as much as there's probably one question on the quiz that's something like, what are the primary colors of the additive color system, or something like that. And if you knew red, blue, and green for that, and yellow, red, and blue for the subtractive color primaries, those would be really good to know. That's as far as that's as deep as I'm going to go with it. Here is the beginning of the subtractive color system with the solid triangle, a solid equilateral triangle, showing yellow at the top and red down here on the left and blue over here on the right. Those are going to be your primary colors for this subtractive color system. And then the secondary colors, colors that are halfway between the primaries. Well, the primaries are called primaries because they can't be made mixing any other colors together. They are primary colors because basically that they can't be made by mixing any other colors together. The secondary colors can be made by mixing two adjacent primaries. And so with yellow and red, we can make orange. It's the same thing with violet down here at the bottom. With red and blue, we can make violet. And the same thing with green. Yellow and blue mixed together can make green. That's really cool. This little thing in the middle is about how we neutralize colors, which is another thing that we're going to be dealing with. So if you mix colors that are opposite each other on the color wheel, which happen to be called complementary colors, and we're going to get into that in a week or two, two complementary colors mixed together in equal parts will neutralize each other, giving you some kind of a neutral color. And these are really washed out colors on the projected screen in the classroom, but this is kind of supposed to be like a brown or a gray. It's supposed to be a neutralized version of the color. So that's the concept anyway. So we've got our primary color triad here. A triad are the three colors that make up this triangle. And the upside down triangle, this secondary color triad, are our secondary colors. So every time we do a color wheel in art, we always put yellow at the top. You're always going to find yellow at the top, and then red over here, and the warm colors on the left side of the color wheel, and blue over on the right side, and the cool colors are going to be over on the right side of the triangle, of the color wheel. And that's just how we do things. It's a way of organizing and keeping stuff straight. It's sort of based on a spectrum where you wrap the colors of the spectrum around a circle. But we haven't really separated out violet and blue violet into two colors that are like their own colors or something. You'll see in a minute how we've augmented the colors of the spectrum a little bit. So going next slide. Okay, so this is the color wheel, and then we've removed the little circles of color that were the primaries and the secondaries. So we've got words there instead. We've got yellow, orange, red, violet, blue, and green colors where they were placed before, so that we can focus for a moment on the intermediate colors. And the intermediate colors are the colors you can get by adding a primary color and a secondary color together. So yellow plus orange gives you yellow-orange up here. Red plus orange gives you a red-orange, which is right over here, and so forth all the way around. When we name an intermediate color, we take the name of the primary color first and the secondary color second, and that becomes its name. So red-violet is this one here. This one over here would be blue-violet, because blue is the primary and violet is the secondary. So this is blue-violet here. This is a blue-green right here. And finally, when you're mixing yellow and green together, you get a yellow-green up here. The primary color name comes first, the secondary color name comes second to name the intermediate color. And of course, and again, the idea that colors that are complementary colors across from each other on the color wheel, when mixed together, will neutralize each other out to give you some kind of a perfectly neutral color that is sort of brown and it's sort of gray and it's just sort of neutral. And this is the way things work in pigmented colors. We get this kind of not really satisfying kind of gray-brown color in the middle. Okay, so, oh my God, it just gets more and more complicated when we go. Okay, so for the moment, we're going to ignore these colors in the middle because they are called the tertiary colors. I guess I'm not ignoring them, am I? They happen when you take like a yellow orange up here and mix a little bit of its color complement with it to neutralize it slightly. Mix a little bit more of its color complement and you neutralize it a little bit more. When you mix equivalent amounts of two color complements, you get the neutral color that takes you to the center of the color wheel. And that works for any any color complement pair. You can neutralize, 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 and we're going to play with that in a week or so. So those are the tertiary colors. But the colors on the outside of the color wheel are supposed to be the brightest, most intense colors that are possible, that can't, theoretically get any brighter or more intense than where they are pure colors on the outside edge of the color wheel. And so these are going to be the 12 colors in our color wheel that we get to play with today. We've got our primary colors, our secondary colors, and our intermediate colors all together on the outside edge of the color wheel. And we're all holding hands and we're singing songs together because it's very nice. Okay, and I think that's as far as I'm going to go today. So that will do it for our presentation from the text. I just want to get us kind of introduced to color and the color wheel, and now we're going to make a color wheel, and this is the fun part. And now I get to do a demonstration, which is even more fun. So on the video, I'm going to go to my overhead cam, and I'm going to turn on a light here to try to give us a little bit of illumination right here on the desktop in front of me. And so we're going to talk about what we are doing here. On the tables in the classroom, I have provided a color wheel template. I printed it out on a cardstock so that everybody has access to a color wheel template. For those of you who are online, if you look at the coursework and go to the color wheel assignment, one of the handouts that's available for you to print out at home is the color wheel template. Now, if you are at home and you don't have a printer or can't print it out on cardstock or something, I would like to offer you an alternative. And that would be one of the things that we have as material that we're supposed to have for the class is Bristol board. And if you couldn't get Bristol board, to get some kind of watercolor board. These are heavy cardstock kinds of things that come in a gummed package. And so it's a very heavy duty kind of thing. And it's kind of nice to paint on because it won't pucker. It's not going to do all kinds of weird stuff when you put a water-based material on it and then have that paper expand first and then contract as it dries and does all kinds of weird stuff. Bristol board or the watercolor board are really nice things to work on when you're doing painting projects. So I have taken a piece of Bristol board and, oh my God, I don't have the thing here that I need. Can somebody go over to the sink and grab me one of those 6-inch diameter lids, those white plastic container 6-inch diameter lids, and just throw it at me? That's the one. I want that one. Okay. Because at home, oh, thank you so much. Okay. At home, you know, you can use a plastic lid that comes off cottage cheese or sour cream or something and put that on your paper and trace it onto your Bristol board kind of a thing. And then based on the idea of a color wheel, try to draw lines through it and divide it into 12 pizza pieces, pie pieces, so that we can build our own color wheel at home. I tried to do this for the morning class, and it was a horrible failure because I was doing it in pen and I was trying to do it fast and it didn't work out. But it is possible to make this thing homemade at home, you know, on a piece of Bristol board or something like that. I made this in Microsoft Word 20 years ago. And that also demonstrates what a lovely drawing tool and graphic design tool that Microsoft Word can be. The center doesn't really mean anything. I put that in there for decoration. What I'm really wanting to do is have the 12 outside segments that we can mix our colors in. And so they are labeled for us: yellow, orange, red, violet, blue, violet, blue, green, and yellow, green, coming back up to yellow again, all the way around our color wheel. This morning I did a demonstration of the warm colors over on this side of the color wheel. Today I may do something with the cool colors on the other side of the color wheel. For those of you who are at home, the classroom is using these big 1-quart bottles of acrylic paint, and we're just sharing the paint by the sink. And so nobody has to buy their paint if they're doing this in the classroom. If you are going to be out of school for a week or so, or really want to get your own kinds of colors, at Walmart, these are like 97 cents a piece. And they are in the arts and crafts section of Walmart. They're individual bottles of acrylic paint. They're 2 ounces, so it's not a whole lot of paint. And so to just get the 3 primaries and 3 secondary colors would be wonderful. Today, we're just going to use the primaries because we're going to try to do our entire color wheel just out of the primary colors. And so I'm going to do that. Oh, and by the way, also at Walmart, that's where you're going to pick up the paint brushes that I say are so cheap. So a pack of brushes like this are $4.97, about $5 for a pack of brushes. And I got a pack of round brushes that have a round metal ferrule on the brush and that create a round pointed brush. And a medium-sized brush like this is a good size to do all of these kind of projects that we're doing. Or You can get the flat fair rule brushes, which I'm about to tear into here. And so these brushes, and ooh, these are cute because they come with a little handle device to be able to hold on to, non-skid, non-stick. This is a flattened fair rule that gives you a chisel point brush. And so this is also the really nice size for doing this kind of a project in this kind of a space. And so if you guys want to buy these on the buddy plan, if you have a friend in this class, 2 or 3 of you can get together and just buy one of these things, and each of you can have a brush out of here. And for $3 or $4, everybody gets a brush, and that's fantastic. If you want to do that, I've got brushes in the classroom for you guys to use, along with the paints and all the other stuff. Everything is over by the sink, ready for us to work with. What was I going to say about this? Oh yeah, one more thing. These brushes that come from Walmart have this kind of orange color to the bristles, and the orange color tells us that that's not a sable hairbrush for doing watercolor with. This is an acrylic bristle that's stiff enough to do acrylic paint with. And so this is the kind of brush you want to get. It is just stiff enough. It'll push around the heavier bodied acrylic paint really nicely for all your painting needs. So get that kind of a bristle brush and you'll be good to go. Okay, let's do this thing. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to get some paint out, and this is going to be so boring for those of you who have done this before. How many of you have done this before? Oh my God. And you can't wait to do this again, can you? Because this is fun. This is the fun part, right? I'm going to ask you guys to use a very little amount of paint. If you can put a half a teaspoon or a third of a teaspoon of paint down here, that'll be great, because we're going to wash half of this away when we clean up. We're going to use so little paint, and we're going to waste so much of it making a color wheel that it's kind of a shame. Hey, where's my paint? Come on, you. It's kind of a shame to push a whole bunch of paint out, but we're going to try. That was the brush I used this morning, so I think I'm going to do it again. Okay, so I've already painted yellow in here. I'm going to go ahead and paint blue in here, although I probably shouldn't, but I think I'm going to, because what the hell? Take some blue and put it in there and spread it around. Move it around, fill in your blue spot. All right. It's a pure color of blue. It's a lovely, what would we call this? A royal blue, a Prussian blue. Anybody here a painter who knows the colors of all of this stuff? And then what I'd like to do is make the color in the middle, which is green, halfway between yellow and blue. So we're going to have to mix yellow and blue together. So I've taken my blue and I've moved it over here. And then I'm going to try to pick up out here on the edge, not from the middle, a bunch of green, a bunch of yellow to make green. The yellow is relatively weak as a pigment, and so it doesn't take a lot of blue, but it takes a whole lot of yellow to make green. And so we're going to start off here on the edge of the blue puddle and pull a little bit of blue in here and mix it in and keep mixing it and mixing it and mixing it until we get something that is greenish. Okay, and we're going to try this. Some of you might say, well, that looks already like a yellow green, but I'm going to see what it looks like on the page right here. It's a little too dark to be yellow green for my money. So I'm going to say that that's a green, although there's a whole bunch of unblended yellow that is in that paint right now. And as we spread it out, you can see that there's areas of the brush stroke that are more yellow and other areas of the brush stroke that are more green. This is a student grade paint. It doesn't always perform exactly like you'd like it to be, but that's going to sort of be our green for today. I'm going to go into the yellow puddle again and try to pick up a great big piece of yellow and try to mix myself something that's a whole lot more of a yellow green over here off to the side. I've got a bunch of blue and green paint that is just in the bristles of my brush, so it's not going to take much. God, it's already gotten just about as dark as the other stuff. That's a shame. I need more yellow, because it doesn't take too much to make a yellow green. I need a whole bunch more yellow, because when you step off of yellow, when you step over here to yellow orange, it is so easy to go too dark and make your yellow orange and orange. And it's really easy to step off of yellow coming this way and make a yellow green that is way too dark and very green. So we're going to try to make nice incremental color changes so that it doesn't get too dark too fast. Amara, what the hell? You do like to talk back there, right? Ugh,
I'm sorry.
you're killing me. All right. One more color, blue, green. Now these colors, these puddles dry out really fast because acrylic paint dries out really, really fast. So even in the time that I'm talking about it, my blue green, my green is turning into a hard thing, which is kind of a bummer. So I'm going to try to mix a little bit more blue into it, see what I can get in terms of a blue green. Man, this looks really nasty. This is losing all of its color punch. It's becoming very much a green, neutralized, subdued blue green, but we're going to try it in here anyway and see what that looks like. Oh my God. Okay. This is a horrible color.
I want a little more blue to look about.
It's really nasty. How'd you get so bad? Okay. Trying to make blue green out of this. Let's try that. How bad could it be? All right. Something like that. So there we go. There you have it. Blue, green, blah-de-blah. When you guys are changing colors, it's really important to have a big thing of water nearby so that you rinse out the brush and clean the pigment out of the bristles when you're changing colors. And so you want that, and you want to have paper towel right handy nearby so you can pull that pigment out of your bristles. Because the worst thing when you're mixing colors and you're trying to get true colors is when you have a little bit of pigment left in the bristles, or you're washing your brush in water that's too dirty, and suddenly you're contaminating the colors that you're trying to keep clear and keep bright. And the most difficult colors to make up on this color wheel are the violets. When you're mixing student grade red and student grade blue, you usually get browns down here, which is kind of nasty, especially if you have a little bit of contamination in your bristles. So try to be as clean as possible when you're mixing red and blue together to get a violet, and as clean as you can to get a red violet and a blue violet version of these things. These are the hard ones to mix because the colors don't work with you very well. The darker colors, the lower value, deeper value colors just are really hard to mix cleanly to make really vibrant colors because they tend to neutralize really fast. So that's why I didn't do that as a demonstration. But what I want you guys to do today and or Monday is to try to do this color wheel. We're going to break away now and turn this into lab time, but to take just the three primary colors of yellow, red, and blue and try to mix all of the other colors on the color wheel and fill them in. And I really would like you to try to make these colors to be as incremental in their color change as possible. So especially stepping off of yellow, don't make your yellow orange too orange or dark, because I don't like it to be a big jump from yellow to yellow orange this way, or a big jump from yellow to yellow green this way. Nice incremental color changes all the way around the color wheel as we do a little bit of mixing with color, just to see what that's like. Is there any questions, either from online, if you do have a question, unmute your mic, or anybody in the classroom have a question for old James? He thinks he knows what he's doing here. All righty then, Aurora. I'm about to say goodbye for today. I recorded this and I'm going to put this up as a YouTube video for anybody who wants to look at it again and try to get some of this information. But try to do this, over the weekend, if you can do it, improvising your own materials or buying some stuff from Walmart. Otherwise, try to make it back to the classroom on Monday, and we'll get you caught up with materials in the classroom here. So I'm Aurora. You're unmuted. What's up?
I just want to say bye.
Oh, thank you. Goodbye. And we're going to say goodbye for now and see you guys later. So bye, YouTube.